What's up, guys? We got a really good question from our buddy Stoudemire. Anyway, that's your username. And he's 16 years old. And he goes on to say that there's a bunch of different things here. He tenses up and punches walls because he gets very, very angry. He essentially doesn't like people. Gets very angry with people, angry with civilization, angry with himself to such a degree that he's contemplated suicide. He wants solitude. He's sick of living with his mother. He wants to get out of the home, but he's under 18. He's just really tense, fucked up, and angry at the world and himself. But he's clearly a very intelligent kid, and he's spending a lot of time studying psychology and philosophy and physiology, society, sociology. All these things interest him greatly. So as a 16-year-old, he's putting all his time and effort into studying this shit while he's dealing with this anger. Now, I'm going to make an assumption, and you can correct me later on, but whether or not this is true, hear me out. There's no father figure in your life. That's my assumption. If you do have a father, perhaps, that's in the home, he is not fulfilling the fatherly or the patriarchal role to the degree that you need him to. Right? And this is completely an assumption, but hear me out. So, every man, every boy, because now you're 16 years old and you're becoming a man, has to have a male figure to contrast himself against, grow with, but also fight. They say that the student has to kill the master. If you're familiar with Oedipus Rex, the Oedipus complex, you are familiar with how Oedipus kills his dad, marries his mom. This is a very old idea that's deep-rooted in our psychology. And the fact is, we live in a patriarchal hierarchy. So society that you can't stand, that you're fighting against, civilization as you describe it, is a patriarchal hierarchy. So the way civilization is built up is such that there's always someone dominating you. You know, be it the police, the government, your boss, whatever the case may be. Outside of the home, the world is set up so that there are a lot of angry fathers watching you, and even our God is a big father in the sky watching you when you take a shit, and you can't go anywhere without Daddy watching you, right? And you call this a patriarchal hierarchy. So without a father figure, an actual father figure in your life that you can kill per se, in order to fulfill the obligation of this Oedipal complex, you are now wanting to kill civilization because it represents the father through this patriarchal hierarchy. Do you follow me? Right? So you're a philosophy student, so you can dig where I'm going with all these metaphors. So, just to recap, there's no actual father figure in your life for you to fight against in the natural way that every boy has to. Every boy has to reject his father in order to become a man himself. Right? This is just this is the way we operate. So you're projecting that need to fight against a father figure on society, on civilization, which is a better way to describe it. And this shows up in you being angry and punching walls and having tunnel vision, breaking shit, and wanting to hurt people. What you need, and the invitation is to go and find a mentor, father figure that you can go and talk to so that you can fight him, so that you can get this out energetically through the relationship with a male rather than fighting the world, because the world's going to fuck you up. You can't fight the world, right? You can't, I mean, they got drones and shit. They'll find you and bomb you. You saw what they did to the guy in California, right, that decided to fight the police. He was a cop, right, and he realized how fucked up the whole thing was, and he got his ass. You can't beat civilization. You don't even try. I know you want to be by yourself, but it's the most dangerous thing that you can do. You describe solitude. If you go into solitude, without resolving this Oedipal complex within you, you're simply going to carry it into later stages of development, and you're going to be thwarted in your personal evolution. You're 16 years old right now, so this is the perfect time to reject Daddy. Daddy's not there. So find a mentor. Go like to the big boys club, or if you have an uncle or an older male figure. Uncles are usually the best to do this with because they care about you, they love you, but they're not necessarily heavily invested in keeping you down because you would supersede him, like the father-son role. So look for a man that understands male evolution, that understands psychology. If you can afford it, or if you have insurance, find a very good psychotherapist, psychoanalyst that you could work with, because psychoanalysts understand this. I mean, Freud introduced the idea of the Oedipus complex, Oedipal complex. So a psychotherapist would understand this. That might be the better bet if you can work with a psychotherapist that understands the Oedipal complex and your need as a boy to fight him, and for you to recognize that you're going to be fighting him, right? Because you're going to reject him. We play this out often, I mean, over and over and over again in our lives with other male figures, you know. Some of us are more male than others, so we fight with a lot of men that seem to be above us in some way, shape, or form. But if you're aware of what's going on, and you work with a therapist or a mentor, and you both understand that you're going to have to fight him at some point, in order to assert yourself, in order to grow up, you need the challenge of going beyond that male figure. You're going to move out of this stage of development that is currently pathological. You're going to come out on the other end as a stronger version of yourself, as a man who's on his way to growing in maturity. So that's it, my friend. Good luck. You're not a bad person. You're not fucked up. There's nothing wrong with you. You need a male figure in your life to emulate, to fight against, and then to have as a mentor as you grow stronger and older and more mature in your own life. Good luck, buddy.